From the very first second of that stand, the energy was electric, the kind of feeling you only get when everything lines up just right and you know deep down this is going to be one of those hunts you remember for a long time, and being self-filmed only amplifies that intensity because you're juggling multiple jobs at once, thinking about camera angles, sound, wind, positioning, and shot execution all at the same time, and that's exactly how it unfolded when that first coyote came. Absolutely screaming in, closing the distance so fast it forced me to shoulder the rifle left-handed while keeping the camera rolling, something that sounds simple until you're actually doing it with adrenaline dumping and a predator locked in on the call, and at about 50 yards the 6.5 Creedmoor did exactly what it's known for, flattening that coyote instantly and setting the tone for the rest of the sequence, because once that first animal hits the ground clean and fast, confidence goes through the roof and every sense sharpens, and before there was even time to process what just happened, more movement appeared, more shapes materializing against the terrain, and suddenly we were calling out left and right, coordinating shots in real time as two coyotes committed hard, running straight into the setup, forcing quick decisions and clean execution, resulting in a fast double that had us barely able to keep our voices down, knowing that kind of action doesn't happen every day. And as we reset the stand and repositioned the collar just under the skyline with the wind cutting the way we wanted, everything felt dialed, the terrain working like a funnel, the sound carrying perfectly, and the coyotes responding exactly how you hope they will, one hanging up around 100 yards testing the situation, the other trying to peel off just a bit farther before both dropped right where they stood thanks to solid communication and precise shot placement, and walking up afterward only reinforced how effective the suppressed setup really was, because the quiet report kept the stand alive and allowed the action to continue instead of shutting everything down like an unsuppressed shot often does. And that's when the day really started to snowball, because once you build momentum on coyotes and the conditions stay steady, every new stand feels like it could erupt at any second. And one of the most intense moments came when another hard-charging coyote appeared out of nowhere, closing the distance fast while I was still managing the camera, forcing a split-second decision as it paused just long enough to give me a clean window, dumping it at roughly 40 yards and leaving my heart pounding afterward, because close-range encounters like that are pure chaos in the best way. And even after that rush the action didn't slow down, setting up again with the collar pushed upwind, carefully reading the open country, watching subtle changes in the grass the way other animals reacted, and using those cues as early warnings, and sure enough another coyote committed, coming in confidently and dropping instantly at around 100 yards, visible sign confirming a clean hit and another successful stand. And as the morning went on, the pattern repeated in the best possible way, stands turning into doubles, doubles threatening to become triples, coyotes appearing from unexpected angles, sometimes hanging up and circling, sometimes charging straight in without hesitation. And every encounter demanding focus and discipline, because predator hunting isn't about rushing shots or spraying lead, it's about knowing when to shoot and when to wait, knowing when to let the sound work and when to change it up. And that patience paid off again when one coyote came in close without warning, forcing a quick reaction shot before immediately shifting attention to another animal cresting a hill at distance, using ballistic data, reading the wind, holding just enough to make the shot count, and watching that coyote tip over at roughly 250 yards, turning yet another stand into a solid double. And walking up afterward you could see exactly how effective the combination of bullet choice, shot placement, and suppression really was, reinforcing once again that preparation matters more than luck. And even with swirling wind and wide open country, the setup continued to produce because we stayed disciplined and trusted the plan, staying ready for anything. Whether it was a sudden close-range encounter that barely gave time to react or a longer shot that demanded calm breathing and precise execution, and every stand reinforced the same lesson over and over, that successful coyote hunting is about understanding how predators think, how they move through terrain, how they use cover, and how quickly they can appear when you least expect it. And as the sequence stretched on, the variety of encounters kept things fresh, some coyotes coming in cautiously, stopping to look back over their shoulder, others running full tilt like torpedoes across the prairie, and each one requiring a slightly different approach, different timing, different shot placement, and that constant problem solving is what keeps predator hunting addictive, because no two stands are ever exactly the same, and by the time we reached later stands where fatigue starts to creep in and you have to consciously slow yourself down, the coyotes were still responding, still committing, and still making mistakes, allowing us to capitalize on those brief windows when everything lines up. And those moments are what make the long days and early mornings worth it, because there's nothing quite like watching a plan come together in real time, seeing a coyote appear exactly where you predicted it would, and executing the shot cleanly. And as the pile of successful stands grew, the confidence in the gear only increased, from the rifle to the suppressor to the collar. Placement, everything proving itself again and again under real hunting conditions, and even when self-filming added extra pressure, the system worked, allowing clean kills and clear footage without sacrificing safety or shot quality, and that balance is something that only comes with experience, repetition, and a willingness to learn from every stand, good or bad. And as the final sequences played out with more coyotes responding, more doubles unfolding, and more intense close calls that kept adrenaline high, it became one of those hunts where time seems to blur together, each stand flowing into the next, each shot reinforcing the last. And when it finally slowed down enough to take a breath and look back across the country we'd covered, it was impossible not to replay every second in our heads, the hard chargers, the calm long shots, the teamwork, the communication, the constant adjustments, and the unpredictable nature of coyotes doing exactly what coyotes do best. And that's what makes days like this special, not just the number of animals taken but the way it all comes together, the strategy, the execution, the intensity, and the satisfaction of knowing that every success was earned, leaving us already thinking about the next stand, the next setup, and the next time the wind, the sound, and the coyotes all line up just right and the action starts all over again.
If you'll enjoy this video, please like and subscribe my channel for more information.